get two every year, Bob, actually.
Good evening. Welcome to the June edition of the Health and Human Services Committee. Is there anybody from the public that would wish to address the committee tonight?
Just wanted to do a brief update on rabies. We had another press release today because we had two more animals. Just a reminder that we are submitting more animals because the USDA is picking up animals. It could be one that someone's found side of the road. It could be someone had in their yard. So we are going to have more testing. So we had one on the schoolyard, so we have ordered coloring books to educate students before they were released. We didn't get enough in, so our health planner actually created a coloring book and sent it to our print shop, and it came out really great. Actually, I think it's probably a better product than what we ordered, but we were able to educate those students. We're also working with the parks because we're going to have increased people bringing animals and in the park areas, and we want them to be educated on not touching the wild animals and what to do if they have any exposure with them. Right now, we will be having our rabies clinics throughout the summer. We are doing education, and they will do the bait drops that will hopefully help. And I hate to say this, but I hope we have a little stronger winter to help us get through next year, maybe have a better rabies season. The other concern that we have is that we still are having people trap animals, and then they call us to dispose of them, which we do not do because we do the human side, we refer them to nuisance officers. And right now we have one nuisance officer in Jefferson County that can do that, and he's probably going to retire, if not this year, next year. So that will be a problem for us to address in the future, probably near future.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Well, I certainly want to commend you for your efforts. This certainly is an unusual, I don't know if it's risen to the level of epidemic yet, but it certainly seems to be heading that way with the amount of cases that we've seen. But thank you very much. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Okay. Any additions, deletions, corrections to last month's minutes? Seeing none, moving on to resolutions.
First resolution this evening is authorizing agreement for provision of mental hygiene services.
We have a motion. Mr. Docteur, Mr. Drake. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Next, amending the 2016 county budget to allocate additional state aid for community services programs.
We have a motion. Mr. Maxon. Mr. Doldo. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Third resolution this evening is amending the 2016 county budget and authorizing an agreement with Credo Community Center for the treatment of addictions incorporated in relation thereto.
We have a motion. Okay, Mr. Docteur, second. Mr. Maxon.
Excuse me, just briefly, I wanted to make sure that the committee was familiar with the new programming that Credo is going to be operating. Jim Scordo was unable to be here tonight. He's going to come next month. This is one allocation of two payments that the state is making towards the creation of an opiate outpatient program, and it will be able to handle opiate medications, treatment medications like Vivitrol, naltrexone, and methadone, and those are new to our community. It's part of the effort that the state has taken on to try and combat the heroin epidemic that we're experiencing, not just in our area, not just in New York State, but across the country. So this is one of the programs that we'll have available that in the past we have not had access to. Methadone, for instance, was only accessible in Syracuse, so that will be available in the North Country now with this program. So we'll be getting another allocation of state funds next month. These are all startup funds. Programming is supposed to start in July, but probably actual treatment programming won't start up until August because they have to get staffing on and get everybody familiar with the new programming that they're going to be doing, the medications they're going to be offering, and the paperwork and all of that that's involved in that. So Jim will be stopping by at the next month Health and Human Services Committee to give you a little more in-depth information about that program.
If I could ask a question, Roger, Credo is primarily for youthful offenders. Is this program?
No, actually, Credo outpatient programming has always been accessible for adults as well as adolescents. I think you're thinking of the farm program, which is an adolescent program. But as far as the outpatient services are concerned and the other residences, those are available for adults as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, we'll get prepared for questions for next month's presentation, correct?
Correct.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Fourth resolution this evening is accepting funding for the New York State Department of Health COLA for a lead poisoning prevention program and rabies expense, and amending the 2016 county budget in relation thereto.
We have a motion. Mr. Maxon, Mrs. Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? Mr. Maxon.
Thank you, Chairman Peck. I just wanted to remark how fantastic it is that it's 4 resolutions in a row where we're getting money from someone else. It's very rare that happens, and I just appreciate it.
Is there any further discussion on the resolution? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Well, you have a host of different departmental reports here and a newsletter. Is there any other items to come before the committee tonight from the members?
Mr. Chairman, I would just also feed off of what you just said. In addition, on everybody's desk is the quarterly Public Health Advisory Committee minutes. Have for everybody to look at.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing that there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Maxon, Mr. Dodo. All in favor? Carried.
Yeah, what do we call it? Well, the position's open if you want to apply.
We'll hear from you later on, is that what?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the Finance and Rules Committee. My name is Don Metzger, and I'm here representing only myself and my wife as a private citizen living in the town of Lyme. And I want to compliment the committee on the work they have done in reference to your resolution number 7. And both my wife and I have been very impressed with the homework that you people have done to come up with this resolution, and reading especially the background statement that you have here and the composition on real property tax law, section 487, and the tax treatment of wind farms, and related comments. It shows a real depth of understanding and homework and research on your part, and my wife and I are very grateful for your work, and we hope that the resolution will pass. Thank you very much for the privilege of the floor, Mr. Chairman.
You're quite welcome. Compliments are always appreciated. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Gunter Shalava. I'm a resident of Clayton at 17348 County Route 5. I'd like to second the comments made by Mr. Metzger. I also endorse and I very much appreciate the work that has been done by the committee. It far exceeds my expectation. The economic impact of the proposed plans, both by Apex and Iberdrola, far exceed the benefits generated, even at full 100% evaluation. As the Henderson study has indicated, the loss of tax or the loss of property values in Henderson alone amounts to something like $40 to $42 million. Even at 100% evaluation and no pilot program other than 100% for pilots, I think the town of Hounsfield is the only municipality that would break even at 100% evaluation. Everybody else, from Cape Vincent to Lyme to Brownville to Henderson, would lose, as would the county. There was one element that I found missing in the report, and that's the potential impact on tourism. The North Country relies heavily on tourist trade, both in terms of seasonal rentals and home ownership, and also for the restaurant and hotel industry. And that's another element that I think would negatively be impacted by any encouragement of wind producers or wind farm developers in that respect. And I'm hoping that perhaps the measure envisioned by the committee and eventually endorsed by the full board might perhaps persuade the developers to find their fortune elsewhere. I thank you very much.
else care to? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's Timothy C., and I am the supervisor for the town of Hounsfield. I'm here this evening to express concern over development of a blanket policy which would not allow pilots for any solar or wind projects in Jefferson County. On a monthly basis, we have economic development meetings on how to attract business to our area. We have an industry here new to Jefferson County, which has a potential $200 million price tag on it. The developer, to this point, Mr. Gray indicated they came to town and wanted a 75% abatement on their taxes. And to this point, as the municipal leader of one of them taxing jurisdictions, I have not seen that request yet. They did talk to the IDA about a potential pilot. They did throw around a few numbers, but to this point, there is no definitive value to what they are requesting. And in addition, at the presentation to the full board a couple weeks ago, the developer explained, one of the legislators asked some questions on taxation and abatement, and Mr. Warnick, retired director of the real property, indicated there are a number of methodical ways to assess windmill farms. And so, number one, we don't know what percent of abatement the developer could potentially ask for. And number two, until we determine which way we're going to assess the wind farm, we don't know what the final number will be. And I thoroughly respect the job that everyone here has to do in representing their appropriate municipalities. And I know it's a tough decision, but I also hope that you will not let just a few folks in Jefferson County determine the future of our windmill and green energy projects. So once again, thank you for the time to speak, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Supervisor C. Any other person care to come forward? Privilege of the floor. Seeing no one, we've moved to the minutes of the last meeting. Any corrections, deletions, or changes? Hearing none, they'll stand as presented. Moving on to a presentation. Dr. McCoy, JCC.
Good evening, everyone. I make the students keep doing it until they say good evening back. Thank you. Sometimes it takes a few times, but I appreciate hearing back from you. I'm here to spend a couple of minutes with some highlights from Jefferson Community College's past year and to talk about our budget for the upcoming year, and I appreciate having that time in front of you. So starting with some highlights from last year, our Residence Hall initiative achieved 101% occupancy in the fall, and you might ask how you get 101%, and that is thanks to Vice President Dupe and double bunking. And this fall, we have some triple bunking that we are putting into place, and we hope to get to about 103%, which is wonderful. In the spring, our occupancy was 90%, which is very typical that spring would be less than fall, and it far surpassed what we had to have for our pro forma, so we've made our bankers very happy. And I noted the comments for the previous committee that others were bringing money, and I would like to note that the Residence Hall project does bring money to this county. We have seen an increase in the amount of tuition that comes to us from out-of-state charges, and that's small, but more importantly, we have seen a significant increase in the amount of county chargebacks that we bring in. Many of the Residence Hall students are Jefferson, Lewis, St. Lawrence County. Only the Jefferson County students have the benefit of your contribution. The other counties provide us a chargeback, and students who are further out also have a chargeback. So our chargebacks have gone up about $150,000 annually, which is money that counts as part of the county's contribution to the college. So we are, in a small way, a moneymaker. Some other highlights, I think we hit a record this year for military enrollments. 44% of our student body were related to Fort Drum in some way, shape, or form. They're either active duty, they're veterans, they're spouses, or children of military. We continue to get a 48% draw out of Jefferson County high schools. Our enrollment is down a bit, and that is about the size of the high school populations and about some of the decrease at Fort Drum. It's not about our ability to attract those students. Many of you have been on campus to see the incredible Dean's Collaborative Learning Center, and students love it already, and I think in the fall it's just going to be crazy in there because it already was quite busy even though it opened in April. Our new Gregor building, I think all of you are aware that the Dewey building was renamed to the Gregor building based upon a gift out of the estate of Dr. Gregor, is on schedule and on budget. It will open in time for the fall semester, and it will house many of our liberal arts faculty. It allows us to increase our paramedic program, and it also allows us to increase our nursing program. We've had this unbelievable simulator with our nursing program that we did not have space for, that was housed over at Samaritan, and with their construction it kept moving, and it will now be permanently housed at Jefferson and is an incredible tool for students. In grants, we had a record year. We received this year over $1 million in grants. Now, not all those grants are one-year grants. Some of them are 2 and 3 years, but we were very, very fortunate. We have an incredible grant writer working for the college, and there were some good opportunities. So putting in a community school, which helps to meet unmet health needs and also help students with financial barriers. We have a new educational opportunity program, which is about economically disadvantaged students. We have a great partnership with Oswego, where if students don't quite make the cut to go to Oswego and they're from out of the area, they are referred to Jefferson to come to Jefferson for 1 to 2 years, bringing some of that chargeback revenue, and then transferring there. It helps us with our res halls, as well as our enrollment. We have an incredible Transitioning Veterans from Boots to Books and Beyond program, obviously aimed at veterans and trying to help them with some of the challenges of going back to college, and then a grant in collaboration with the Victims Assistance Center on Enough is Enough, which is the legislation out of the governor's office with sexual assaults. So thank goodness for grants, because when your enrollment is declining, it's not the most robust financial time, but these are really helping us to meet a lot of needs in our community. This coming year, we believe we'll be full in the residence hall again. As I said, we're triple bunking in anticipation of doing that, but we are expecting our enrollment to decline. We have budgeted for a decline, and we're very closely watching it. It is interesting to note that community college enrollments, not just in New York but across the country, are significantly down. And in fact, public education is down for some reason. The privates are doing a little bit better than publics right now. We'll be finishing our construction on Gregor, and then we're going to be starting some additional construction. You will hear more about it, but we're putting in what's called a one-stop, which is a change in how we do all of our enrollment-based services. So instead of going office to office to office, do your testing and then go to financial aid and then go here and then go there, we're reconfiguring the space. We believe it will keep some students from disappearing during the process, and more importantly, it will let us be more efficient and effective. which will help with some staffing. We are, this coming year, I think just like every company and organization across the state, we're very challenged with the increase in the minimum wage. You know, you may not think that the college has that many minimum wage jobs, but all of our student workers are paid minimum wage, and that is a big, important piece for students to be able to go to college. So we haven't been able to increase the funds, so unfortunately what that means is that fewer students are going to have the opportunity to have a work-study experience on campus. We're also facing with the Fair Labor Standards Act, with the increases in the minimum salary to be considered a professional and exempt. We have a number of positions where that is a challenge. Most of it's not too big of a deal. The one that has me most concerned that we're going to have to figure out are the residence hall directors who live in the residence hall, make significantly less than the FLSA number, and are basically on call 24 hours a day, almost every day. So that one's going to be a challenge as we figure out how we do that. Contractually, we settled with our educational support professionals this year. You all signed up on that contract. Our contract with our faculty association, though, expires on August 31st, and our partners with the county, we have not started negotiating yet. So I know that one's not going to be settled on time, and that's going to be a big challenge for all of us. So we did receive from the state a $100 increase in state aid, which was great. We're up to $26.97. We are raising our tuition significantly. It is going up 5.2%, which is $108 a semester or $9 a credit hour. So our tuition for the year is going to be $4,392. Because our enrollment was down this year and we're projecting it to be down next year, the revenues from the state are basically flat since we're paid per student, and actually the revenues coming in from student tuition and fees are less projected next year than they are this current year. Of course, if more students come than we're expecting, that would change. In respect to the county, and we know the challenges that the county has financially, we are asking for no increase from the county. Although I do have to say, it just personally, it's a real struggle for me to be raising tuition for students like this and trying to figure out how to get a balanced budget. We will be using $600,000 planned out of our fund balance. We'll be adding to our fund balance this year, Dan tells me, although he never will commit to exactly how much, right, Vice President Dupe? Because it is a moving number, but fortunately we don't expect to use any of our fund balance this year. We'll add probably a small amount to it, and we'll be budgeting to use $600,000 in the upcoming year. So that's sort of Jefferson at a glance, and I would be glad to answer any questions or any concerns that you have.
Any questions for President McCoy? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Moving on to resolutions.
First resolution this evening is payment of legislator expenses.
May I have a motion, please? Legislator McBride, Legislator Johnson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Next resolution is adopting the 2016-17 Jefferson Community College budget.
Resolution, please. Legislator Navolanic, Legislator Drake. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Next is appropriation for the conduct of Jefferson Community College for fiscal year 2016-2017.
I have a motion, please. Legislator McBride, Legislator Doctor. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Next is amending the 2016 county budget and capital plan in relation to the JCC master plan projects.
Motion, please. Legislator Drake, Legislator Fitzpatrick. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Amending the 2016 county budget relative to capital projects.
Motion, please. Legislator McBride, Legislator Johnson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Next is authorize the reappointment to the Jefferson Lewis Workforce Development Board.
Motion, please. Legislator Fitzpatrick, Legislator Nebuani. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Next is a resolution setting forth the policy of Jefferson County Board of Legislators in regard to the abatement of real property and other taxation for alternate energy projects larger than 25 megawatts rated capacity.
And a motion, please. Legislator Doctor. Second, Legislator McBride. Discussion. Legislator Drake.
Yes, I'm going to vote no on this. And, first of all, I'm not anti-wind or pro-wind. I think it's a local issue, and each local issue should be decided by their own merits. I know Article 10 takes away a lot of their decision-making. I don't have a lot of faith in big business or business welfare. I know that they can make promises they don't keep. The reason I want to vote no is I think that there is some significant secondary economic activity which would warrant some kind of a pilot. And because of that, I just can't see one blanket pilot for the whole county. I do want to applaud the board and all the time they put in, because I do feel that we should get as much money as possible out of these projects. Again, I'm going to vote no. Thank you.
Legislator Drake. Legislator Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would also like to compliment administration and staff and everyone, the legislators that were involved with this document. It was certainly well thought out, and I think it's appropriate that energy developers know Jefferson County's position on tax abatements before they come to Jefferson County and make promises to landowners and make promises to school districts, town governments. And I think this document goes a long ways in protecting one of our most valuable assets, or two of our most valuable assets. The Fort Drum is certainly the largest employer in the area, and we've all read recently with their issues with additional development along the flyway. It's very important to this community. That base is very important to us. And at this time, there's a possibility of additional assets being placed on Fort Drum. And I think we have to take that into mind. I want to make sure we don't do anything as a county and county government to make Fort Drum any less of a desirable place when the people in the federal government are looking at places to downsize or places to place additional assets. We certainly want to do everything we can to make that base and, of course, Wheeler-Sac Airfield as valuable as possible. And I think we've also the document also protects the property owners and tourism along the St. Lawrence River and Lake Ontario and throughout Jefferson County. So again, Mr. Chairman, I will be supporting this resolution.
Thank you, Legislator Doctor. Further comments? I have a comment that I'll withhold till after the vote. So, Legislator Maxon.
Thank you, Chairman Monticelli. I just wanted to make sure everyone who's active on this committee had the opportunity to speak. I am this board's representative to the IDA, and I have heard from a number of IDA board members who have concerns that the county is not taking the approach sort of along the lines Legislator Drake said, looking at each project on its own merits and is coming at it with a blanket approach. I personally appreciate the resolution. I look forward to voting for it in the full committee because I think that it's important that projects that generate limited ongoing employment don't receive tax abatements. if I were to build a garage on my house, I would expect that the town's not going to give me a tax abatement for it, or if I were going to build a factory staffed entirely with robots, they're not going to give me any tax abatements on it. I think that multinational corporations ought to be paying for their fair share of the services that this county provides, and the people of this county deserve to have those real property improvements on an even playing field with any other business that comes to the county. So I do appreciate the opportunity to speak to Finance and Rules, and I think it's a good resolution that sets the standard for any sort of large-scale industrial commercial wind development or solar array or any of these things that we're not going to discourage development. Developers are more than welcome to come. We'd love to have you, but when you come, you're going to pay your fair share. And I think that that's a good thing.
Thank you, Legislator Maxon. So, any further comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. My only comment is the white paper refers to the county desires to give a pilot. The payment in lieu of taxes is what we're supporting. People might misunderstand that. That sets the stage for certain other activity to happen so other taxing entities are not restricted. All we're saying is we're under the pressure of the tax cap, and so taxation has an amount, and an amount is all we're committing to, is amount, not pilot. Is still, payment in lieu of taxes is still what this is about. So I hope that wasn't inappropriate, but I did it anyway. Okay. Moving on.
Next resolution, authorizing the execution of a Tri-County Energy Consortium intermunicipal agreement and the electricity purchase agreement.
Motion, please. Legislator Nabawanek, Legislator Johnson. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Next is authorizing the approval of an outline of understanding with Copenhagen Wind Farm, LLC, and affected Jefferson County taxing jurisdictions regarding property tax and other inducements in regards to the electrical transmission feeder line at the town of Champion in Rutland.
Motion, please. Legislator Nabawanek, Legislator Fitzpatrick. Discussion on the motion. Legislator Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have concerns over this resolution. I know a lot of thought went into this, and we'd like to work with our neighboring counties, and certainly I do. But again, this project is in the flight path of the airfield on Fort Drum, Wheeler-Sac. I've seen that in their documentation. So I have concerns with that by supporting this intermunicipal agreement and supporting the feeder line, we're supporting the project, and it could possibly be a hindrance to Fort Drum. For that reason, I will not be supporting this resolution.
I appreciate your comments. Further comments? Discussion? Legislator Peck.
Thank you. Just because this does run through my township, I just wish to address a quick comment, and that just to kind of give kudos to my town board and holding the feet to the fire of Owen Energy, because for quite some time they were really going back and forth and not really getting a fair shake out of them. So I think what you see before you is really the result of them kind of holding the wall back and making sure that they were getting, in terms of what we've been talking about, a fair share of taxation for what is being constructed there. And this is really just transmission lines for Champion and substation in Rutland, and whatever tax revenue is out of both those constructions for us. So in terms of what the wind farm will do and its impact to Fort Drum, that seems to have already been vetted and examined by Lewis County and the town of Denmark. To say that it can't have an impact would be negligent, but that's if the fort could stop it, they would have done so already. So, their method of trying to prevent it from incurring on them was the ACUP program on Mercrest Farms in South Champion. So that's just to answer to your question of concern, legislator Doctor, is that I guess that is the Ford's method of dealing with the potential issue. Thank you.
You're welcome. Further comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Next, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Environmental Protection and Spill Compensation Fund regarding tax map parcel number 55.71-1-44 in the town of Array.
Motion, please. Legislator Doctor. Legislator Fitzpatrick. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Next, amending the 2016 county budget relative to buildings and ground department.
Motion, please. Legislator Nabawanek, Legislator McBride. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Health and Human Services.
Amending the 2016 county budget to allocate additional state aid for community service programs.
Discussion, or excuse me, motion, please. Legislator Nabawanek, Legislator McBride. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Amending the 2016 county budget and authorizing an agreement with Credo Community Center for the Treatment of Addictions Incorporated in relation thereto.
Motion, please. Legislator Johnson, Legislator McBride. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Next, accepting funding for the New York State Department of Health COLAs for lead poisoning prevention program and rabies expense, and amending the 2016 budget in relation thereto.
Motion, please. Legislator McBride, Legislator Doctor. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. I was remiss in a resolution for general services, which should have come a bit ago, but
We've added one resolution for consideration this evening. As the chairman pointed out, typically it is general services, but the timing is very critical in this case because it's a grant award that needs to be executed quickly. It's a grant award for more than $500,000 that will go for snow equipment for the airport. Authorizing agreements for the Federal Aviation Administration, the New York State Department of Transportation, Pastor Associates, and ME Companies Incorporated, and amending the 2016 county budget and capital plan in relation to the acquisition of snow removal equipment.
motion, please. I beg your pardon? No, it shouldn't be a general service. Should have been under the, I should have had it already. Didn't. But I did see some hands. Legislator Fitzpatrick, Legislator Nabawanek. Discussion. Hearing none? All in favor? Opposed? I'm sure Legislator Maxon's very happy about that. More money? Oh, well, they're letting us have our money. There are informational items attached. So, report from the county clerk and a budget development schedule. I'd ask you to look at the budget development schedule so you have a sense of where we're headed. And you'll note that usually we do our, I don't know how to describe it.
Work session?
Okay, thank you. Work sessions in October, but since the election is, it's still the first Tuesday after the first Monday, but second Tuesday of the month, so we're already well into the month. The work sessions will be in November instead of October. So I'd ask you to just pay attention to that as we move forward. Any other business for the committee? A resolution? Oh, yes, sir. Legislator Peck.
Just because I'm not sure whether Dr. McCoy will be here at our meeting next week to watch the budget get passed through or not. Were you going to be in attendance? Or? Oh, okay. Well, I'll save my comments till next month then.
Anything further for the committee? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn, please. Legislator McBride, Legislator Johnson, all in favor? We are adjourned.
Danny.
Good, how you doing, Bob?
No, this young lady, when we get dinner, so.